The Charlotte Ledger Podcast is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Cristina Bolling from the Charlotte Ledger, and you're listening to the Charlotte Ledger Podcast. Today, we've got a traveling roadshow episode of the podcast, which we recorded at the Sharon at South Park Retirement Community. The Ledger has a partnership with the Sharon, and we brought Ledger arts critic Lawrence Toppman in for a discussion about arts criticism and his approach to the craft. Longtime Charlotteans know Lawrence from the 40-plus years he spent as a critic at the Charlotte Observer. We are thrilled to have him writing for the Ledger several times a month. He's as good a talker as he is a writer, so you'll enjoy this conversation he had with me and the great questions he took from residents of the Sharon as well. You'll definitely want to keep listening for those. We hope you enjoy the conversation.
Fair warning, I love the sound of my own voice. So I could talk nonstop until way past the time when the bar opens.
I thought that I would start off with some questions for you. And I was wondering, is it a critic's job to make up people's minds? How do you view the critic job? Is it to make people think what you think? Is it to make up their minds for them?
I think traditionally the people that have been critics have figured that is their job. That they're sort of Roman emperors going, this movie must be put to death, but this movie can live. And yes, you should go see the symphony, or no, the symphony is under my thumb and I'm crushing them. That's not really very accurate. That's an unfortunate thing that happened. You all are old enough to remember Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, two really good critics. But they ended every discussion with thumbs up or thumbs down. They didn't even have thumbs sideways, which I thought, surely there's like some movies that are neither up nor down. And that's really not helpful, because my job is not to tell you what to do. It's not to tell you how to think about something. It's to give you information so that you can make up your own mind. I often got emails or letters that said, well, you didn't think this was any good, and I went and I thought it was great. And I think they thought I would write back and go, well, because you're an idiot. Of course you thought it was great. It's meant for idiots. But instead, I would write back and say, that's lovely. I talked about it, or wrote about it. You read what I wrote. You decided it's not for him, but it is for me. I'm going to go. And you had a great time. So I did my job. I gave you the chance to make up your mind. And then usually those people wrote back and said, oh, okay, thanks. Once in a while, someone wrote back and said, no, you're still wrong. But generally, folks think that I'm going to tell them what to do. I'm going to help them figure out for themselves what to do. It's not my job to be an arbiter. It's my job to inform. Of course, my opinion's in there. It can't help but be. But it's not, listen to me, I am a wise guru. It's, here's the experience I had. You might want that experience or you might not.
So everybody comes to a piece of art or a performance with their own kind of preconceptions or maybe prejudices against some kind of art. How, as a critic, you yourself have to have them. We all have them. How do you, as a critic, set those aside when you're doing criticism, when you're doing a review, or can you? How do you do that?
Well, you don't have to do it if you're just an ordinary person going to a movie or a play or a concert, and you come out and somebody says, "How was it?" and you just say, "It was great. I loved it," or "It was terrible. I hated it." But what you mean is that experience didn't work for you personally. That doesn't mean it's not good. And I'm going to segue a little bit and talk about this. One of the hard jobs a critic has to learn is what you like and what is good might be the same thing. They might not be the same thing. I liked my mother's meatloaf. It was not good, as I found out after years of eating it when I ate meatloaf in actual restaurants. But I liked it because I was used to it and it had brought back childhood memories and all these reasons. So if you said, is your mom's meatloaf good? The answer is, no, not really. But if you said, do you like it? I do. We all like things that are not necessarily extremely well done. And conversely, something that is extremely well done, we might not like. You could make the best meal in the history of Western cooking with crawfish in it. And I don't care if you're Paul Prudhomme making me crawfish etouffee, I don't want it. That doesn't mean it's not good. Might be the best crawfish etouffee in the world, but it's not for me. So a critic has to decide, is this a well-made thing I'm seeing, rather than did I like it? So that's where the prejudices come in. We're all prejudiced all the time in favor of or against. If I see that, well, I'll give you a good example. There's a movie out right now, by a Chilean director named Pablo Larraín, and it's about Maria Callas. It's called Maria. It would actually be about Maria Callas if it were accurate in any way, but it's not. But I've seen that guy's work. I've seen Jackie, which he made about Jackie Kennedy, and Spencer, which he made about Diana Spencer. And I know going in, I'm not probably going to get much out of the experience. I just do. I have to put that aside and say, okay, you, Larry, are not enjoying this very much, personally. Is there something interesting going on here that you don't like? And then I have to, if I'm writing about it, I have to make that determination. That's a hard lesson for anybody to learn, because we all think we're smart and we're open-minded and we have some ability to look at something intelligently. And so we don't sit there going, this is well made, but I don't like it. We just say, I don't like it, which is the logical answer. But I will tell you what changed my mind forever. I had an experience. Unfortunately, I'd already been a movie critic for 2.5 years. I went to see Ghost, which some of you will remember. Demi Moore is a sculptress, a potter, I should say, and Patrick Swayze is in love with her and he dies. And I don't want to give away any more of Ghost if you haven't seen it, because it's certainly a beloved film. And I was sitting there thinking, oh man, this is terrible. Oh, it's awful. I can't stand it. And I look around and there's people crying and holding on to their dates and really into the movie and dabbing their eyes. And I had two thoughts. Luckily, I didn't take the first one. The first one was, wow, there must be 200 people at this screening. What are the odds that only one of us has good taste? Yeah, no, everybody else is crying. I can see that. Okay, that's bad. But my second thought was, why are 199 people having a certain kind of experience that you are not having? You can't write a negative review because that review would be about you. The experience they're having is valid and they want to have it and they're enjoying the film. So I wrote a positive review of a movie I didn't care for. And my boss said, I thought you didn't like it. I said, I didn't like it. That's not what I'm writing. I had to set my own prejudices against romantic comedy and against stories with supernatural love affairs and all the things that don't speak to me aside. The average person doesn't have to set those things aside. There's no reason they should. If my dad goes to a movie, my dad he hates Disney movies, hates everything about Disney. We had a very bad experience when I was 8. We went to Disneyland in California. I think that prejudiced him for life. And I'll say to him, oh, let's watch this movie. It's really, you love Hawaii, and there's this movie Moana. You'll really like it. And he went, no, it's a Disney movie. It's out. So I said, okay, because there's no way that could appeal to him. That doesn't mean it's not well made. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have a target audience who will think it's the greatest. It means he's not capable of looking at it. He wouldn't say, this is a lovely movie, I don't want to see it. He'd say, this is a bad movie. And that's a distinction a critic can't make. So you have to be aware of your prejudices, and I have pro and con, and fight them and say, okay, this seems really slow to you. Would it seem slow to somebody else? Or this character is not someone you want to know. Might somebody else want to know him? Maybe. And sit back. So I try to take myself out of the movie that much to reality check myself. Because I have blinders. I just have to remember that to take them off.
Is it harder to write a negative review than it is to write a positive review?
That changed over time. When I was a young critic, I made young critic ego trip mistakes. And that was, I'm 25 years old. I'm going to show you I'm smart. I'm going to get this piece of music on the ground and kick it and step on it and say, you wasted my hour. I'm going to destroy you to show everybody I'm in charge. I've got authority. The older I got, that became less interesting, possibly after I got married. And my wife would tell you, we've been together 30 years. I believe she would echo what I'm about to say. It becomes less about showing everybody how smart you are and how authoritative you are, and really wanting to share an experience. So it's easier to write a positive review because who doesn't want to share a positive experience? You want to come out of a show going, I just saw Some Like It Hot. Oh, it was terrific. Let me tell you about it. You want to go. You'll really like it. Rather than, I just came out of Some Like It Hot and I wanted to punch in the face everyone who was responsible for making it. All of them, the cast, the crew. Nobody really wants to be that guy. So it's much easier to write a positive review. It's hard to write a negative review because you have to keep asking yourself, am I being fair? Am I being cranky? Is it just me? Is there something? You know, it's funny. Back to the Future came as a musical to the Belk, and I reviewed it. And I was sitting across from a guy, and he was talking to his friends, and he said to them, did you know Back to the Future is the second best movie ever made? So I'm very excited. It's the second. What he meant was it was his second favorite movie, but I didn't give him the critic spiel. And he said, the second best, I can't wait to see this. It's great. And I thought, oh, and at intermission, someone said, what's the best movie ever made? And he said, Back to the Future 2. So, okay, that guy's going to love whatever is in front of him. And the show had a lot of problems, and it had a lot of drawbacks. But I thought, some of the people who go see it are that guy, and I'm writing for them. So I'm going to work hard to not just be and stop it and kick it in the behind. And I tried to find, and did find, good things to say too. So it's easier to write the positive ones. The negative ones, now that they've stopped being ego trips to show how smart I am, are painful because you think people put effort and time into this, and I don't want to just kick it all about.
How do you handle it if you go to a performance or piece of art and you just don't, you feel like you don't get it? Does that happen to you? And what's the artist's job in terms of making you get it?
No, I'm a genius. That doesn't ever happen. It's a perfectly critical response, a valid response to say, I did not get this. I remember if you did this when you were kids and the art teacher asked you to do something and you had no artistic talent, that would be me. And I pinned up a blank sheet of construction paper. And it's an old joke, but I tried it. And she said, what is that? I said, that's a polar bear eating vanilla ice cream in a snowstorm. And she said, take that down. And I thought, oh, I'm sorry. I put it up there hoping that people would figure out for themselves what I was trying to do, because I don't know what I'm trying to do. I don't have any ability. Occasionally, I'll see a work of art and think, you didn't know what you were trying to do. You didn't have a purpose. You didn't have a focus. You didn't have a narrative, however oblique or difficult, to share with me. You just threw something against the wall and hoped it would stick. And when I see that, I don't get it. I don't know why you wanted me to look at this. I don't know what you hope to have me take away from this. And I will write, if I have to, I did not get what the artist wanted me to know, what the experience the artist wanted me to have might be. To me, that is a failure. Every artist has a responsibility to communicate with us. That doesn't mean I won't do the work. I'll meet you halfway. I'll meet you 60% of the way. But you need to show me what it is you want me to feel or think or believe or understand, and help me on the path to doing that. And if you do that and you say, walk toward me, you'll get it. Come on, part way. I do. The first time I looked at a Jackson Pollock painting, I thought, my 3-foot-high niece could do this. But the second time I looked at it, I thought, is something going on here? He didn't make these by accident. Whether I like them or not, whether I think they're attractive or not, something is happening. Let me try to find out what it is. And I began to feel that I did. I could be wrong. Jackson Pollock is dead. He can't help me out. But I feel like I got a point to it. I feel like I saw a destination. And every artist must give you a destination and a roadmap as to how to get there. They don't have to do the driving for you. But if they don't do that, then they have not communicated. And once in a rare while, I'll hear an artist say, it's whatever you want it to mean. And then I think about the polar bear in the snowstorm. It's not whatever you want it to mean. It's not my job to make art for you. I can do that at my house. I don't have to come to a gallery for that. I could do it in my living room. So you have to give me a destination and some of a map, and I'll do the driving. You don't have to drive me there. But if you don't do that, or you're so obscure that I can't see a destination, then that is on you and you have failed.
How much prep work do you do before you go to a show or a concert or something in terms of homework? Do you feel like you need to have in your brain before you go and experience something so that you can make sense of it?
Well, the advantage to being 70 is that I have heard almost all the pieces of music the Charlotte Symphony is ever going to play. And I've seen almost all the shows that local theater, or not almost all, half, that they're going to do. So I have to prep myself when I don't know something. But here's the deal. Remember what I said. I'm trying to portray the experience that you, the reader or the listener, will have by going. You didn't do a lot of homework. You didn't read the script of a play before you went to see a play. So the experience you have will not be the same as the experience I have if I read a play and then go watch it. I'll come in with a whole bunch of information that alters the way I view it. I will have started to put the art together even before I see it. Not helpful. So when I went to look at the Cleo Rojas show at the Beckler, I saw some slides of it, but I didn't do a lot of reading about her. I gathered my impressions. When I got home, I did some reading and thought, aha, that painting means something different from what I thought it did. Interesting. Now I see a pattern in her work I wasn't sure I saw when it was in front of me. And I saw patterns when I was there that I didn't read about. So I almost do retroactive prepping, but I try to go in with as much of a clear mind as I can, partly because I want to keep those prejudices at bay. I wrote about a Picasso landscape show here at the Mint, and I thought, I've seen, 50 Picasso paintings. I don't think I've ever seen a landscape. What's up with that? And I did a little bit of reading, but mostly I went, experienced it, and then read a bunch about why he painted landscapes or didn't. So I do it backwards.
Just one question, and then I'll open it up to the audience for questions.
I don't think I have anything smart left to say. I'm just fair warning. Go ahead.
When you attend a performance or see a piece of art and you have your critic's hat on, is it different than when you don't have your critic's hat on? Do you take art in differently when you don't have to write about it?
No, I don't. I don't literally sit there going, the color red. Now, what could that mean in this instance? Well, she had red shoes in the previous painting. I don't have a sort of a critic-y, more air quotes, a critic-y way of assessing everything. But in the back of my head always now is a look for that subtext. It's, okay, what is going on in this painting beyond some really interesting color and I like the shapes or the drawing? What's going on in this music other than pleasing sounds? That's automatic now. And so I don't separate it, but at the same time, I don't sit there watching a musical that I'm getting paid to review with this sort of, oh yes, I'm being paid to review, so I can't enjoy myself, I just have to be the critic today. I don't do that either. I hope I don't do that ever, but the critic in me and the, whoa, this is great guy in me coexist all the time. Or, whoa, this is awful. Those coexist all the time. They're not separable. It's sort of like if you've trained yourself to do something, you can't untrain yourself. And after 50 years of doing this, I could never untrain myself. I think someone had a hand up.
I actually have two questions.
That means one of you won't get a question, but go ahead.
Sorry.
That's all right.
In a discussion group I was in last week, the newest movie that we ought to see is Wicked. Have you had a review of that, or are you going to, or do you know anything? All I think of when I hear that is the picture of the witch with the green skin, and I don't know whether I want to make myself go see that or not.
Well, I've seen the Broadway show on which it's based, of course. And it's interesting. I haven't seen it yet. I will see it. I still vote in a film critics group, the Southeastern Film Critics Association. Although I'm retired, I was a founding member, and so I'm in pretty much forever. And I want to see it in order to see if it might be award-worthy. But the musical is it's not about The Wizard of Oz. It's about authoritarianism and when we can no longer keep ourselves from rebelling against injustice. It's about prejudice. The character of Elphaba is shunned because she is green and she is weird, unlike Kermit. Well, Kermit said it ain't easy being green in the Muppets. Elphaba finds it is indeed not easy. But there's also a sort of a perky blonde girl who befriends her, and you think, oh, you're going to be really shallow. She is not. And so the movie is about upending preconceptions and all the things I've just mentioned. It's not just about, wow, you can't see the wires when they fly. But so I will see it, but it's about all of those things. And if I were reviewing that, those are the things I would be telling people about. So when they went, they'd go, yeah, I'm getting that. That's interesting. I like what you found there. Or they might say, I don't want to see a movie that is against prejudice, and that's not a topic I want to pursue. Then they wouldn't go. What was your second question?
Before, when you were talking, something came to my mind about a movie I watched the other night. That's an old movie. It's called Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Are you familiar? I can see you laughing. You are familiar with it. When that thing started out, and they said they didn't have horses, so they're imitating horses.
By clapping coconuts together.
Clapping a coconut, and
Right.
then this gate that all the people are going in. I thought that was very clever, and they're making fun of something.
Right.
Well, the whole movie, I think, is making fun of things. But by the end of it, I was sick and tired of it. And then after it was over, I read all the wonderful awards that movie had won. And I thought, oh boy, what do I know?
As they used to say on Jeopardy, put it in the form of a question.
Well, okay.
I was on Jeopardy
you
once. They
think-
had to say that to me.
Do you remember that movie? A little.
Yes. That was the short answer. You want the long answer?
Well,
Longer answer. I saw that movie when I was 21 years old.
21.
Yeah, 1975 when it came out. And I laugh. People say this, but it actually happened. I laughed so hard, Coke came out of my nose. I was drinking a Coke, and I went, and I said to the guy I was with, Rick Upton, my best friend at the time, I want to see this again right now. Let's just go out and pay and just come right back in. And Rick said, let's not and just sit here. And because I'm easily swayed, we did that. But I watched it twice back to back, and it was the perfect age. I was in college and irreverent, and everything was for kicking in the behind. And so now I cannot watch that movie anymore, and I have watched it many times. And I'm 21 again. I can't watch that movie with any judgment or, wait, this is not just dopey. I mean, it's not just funny, it's kind of dopey, or this is silly, or, that joke was funny like 50 years ago, and it really isn't, though. I can't do that anymore. I have a mental block so large it can't be removed in favor of that film. So I laugh when I see it. Is it a good film? I'm not capable of telling you, actually. Because when I was 21, it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, other than my brother falling off a roof. We didn't get along. We get along well now. We didn't at the time. Russell hears this podcast. Russell, you're great. I love you.
Well, I was going to ask you how you get assignments, but I guess it's the latest show in town, the symphony and the exhibit at wherever. So I guess you're doing new things is how you get your
Generally,
assignments.
we'd like them to be current. So if something's just a day, a concert review there's no way that a reader can act on it, so it has less impact. And so I'd rather write about something that they can go, that sounds super interesting. I want to go or know more about it. And if I write, the Rolling Stones are here, they blew the place all apart, people just go, oh, shoot. And that's not you don't want to leave them with that if you can help it. And so I don't do one-night concerts or two-day concerts. I try to do stuff where it'll run during the event or the performances, and then people can take advantage of it because it's sounds funny to say, an action-oriented response, we hope. And we do it by mutual discussion. Cristina and I send stuff in, and once in a while she says, I don't know that this is a thing, and then I don't go. And sometimes she has an idea, and I always try to supply her with some.
You mentioned that your critiquing itself had changed over the years. I wonder if there's anything that sticks out, like, ooh, I wish I had critiqued that differently, or I shouldn't have been so harsh, or maybe that was actually terrible in hindsight. I wonder if you ever had any regrets, or you were good with everything.
Well, I'll tell you a brief, it's not brief actually. I'll just tell you a funny story. I believe in truth in advertising. When I was first a film critic at the Atlantic City newspaper in the 70s, late 70s, I went to see Star Wars, and I wrote a review that said, at least it said it was well done, thank goodness, but basically said, this is an interesting little film. It's not going to go anywhere. So you really, science fiction is a dead issue in film production. And, if you're curious, you should go. It's actually pretty well done, I think. I enjoyed it. It's well put together. But, there's no future in it. And that ran. And for the entire summer, when I would be on the boardwalk or on the beach in Atlantic City, people would come up and go, "Do you write for the newspaper?" And I knew if they had that look on their face, what they were going to say. I started to go, "No." Or I would go, "I do, yes. Why?" And they go, "Is your name Lawrence Toppman?" "Yes." "Did you write a review about Star Wars?" "Yes." And they almost never said anything. They went, they just walked off. Once in a while they'd say, "You're a dummy." So I wish I had not done that. Again, at least I didn't say it was terrible. But normally when I've had an experience, I've somehow had people come back to me and say, "You need to watch that movie again. You didn't get it." And I think, well, again, two thoughts. First thought is, of course I got it. My second thought is, really, tell me why I didn't get it. You might talk me into it. I'll give you an example. There was a movie called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" with George Clooney and stuff, and it was a Coen Brothers movie set in the 30s. Man, the first time I saw that, I wanted to cut that stuff up and make it into Band-Aids. That movie was so bad it shouldn't even exist on film. We should find something useful to do with the film. And then somebody came up to me and said, "You totally missed the point, man. You just didn't get it at all." And I said, "All right, I'll give you a chance. Explain it to me." And after about 5 minutes, I thought, maybe I did. And I went back and watched it. I thought it was hilarious. So unfortunately, I'd already committed myself in print to saying it was idiotic. But you have to, I had a strong conviction. But you have to be willing to think again if somebody comes back to you and says, "I think you kind of missed that." If someone says, "You like this and I didn't, so there," that doesn't get us anywhere. But if we have a discussion and somebody says, "Can I explain to you why I think this is a good movie or a bad movie," whatever, I'll listen. And I always wrote back. I never didn't answer someone who said, "You missed the boat." And that happened to me from time to time. Sometimes it was literally just we had a disagreement because it was something they liked and I didn't. But often there would be somebody say, "Think more about this. Go back and watch it in this context." I'd think, wow, yeah, okay. David Lynch is a hard filmmaker to get. And once someone explained to me what Lost Highway, which I believe I gave 0 stars to, was actually pretty good, I went back and I realized I was wrong. I tended to be wrong in undervaluing. I wasn't usually wrong in overvaluing. It was that I wasn't open to an experience, and when I was later, the experience was interesting. I'm going to tell you a little secret very briefly.
Based on...
I'm not going to tell you a secret.
Based on your youthful age now, as compared to back when you first started when you were 20, obviously you have a different mindset and values. So how does that affect you? Do you ever try to roll it back, or how do you deal with the fact that you're looking at it from this perspective and your audience base spread from 10 years old to 90 years old?
That's an interesting question. I occasionally had people who would say to me, "You would get this movie, play, music, whatever, if you were," my parents were, my mother was Christian, my father was Jewish, so I have at least understand those differences. But if you were Latino, you would get this movie, and you don't because you're not. If you were black, or if you were gay, or if you were older than you are, or younger than you are, or if you had children, you would get this movie. And I would think, I am at a disadvantage. I am a straight, elderly white man from New Jersey. I am the world's authority on all films about straight, elderly white people from New Jersey. But I am not black. And if I see a Spike Lee movie and it works for me or it doesn't work for me, I can't say, I'm going to imagine what it's like to be black. Yes, I will. I could try, but it can't really be done. And so every time I looked at something, it was through the eyes of who I was then. At 70, I would look now at a movie I saw like Holy Grail differently if I were to see it for the first time. And if I had forgotten it completely and I read what I wrote when I was 21, I might have thought, what is this guy? What's going through his head? You're always who you are, and you can try to be put yourself in another person's position. But you know what? If I see a movie about somebody with kids, I've been a kid and I have a nephew, but I don't have kids. I married late in life and I don't have children. So I can't say, this is a very believable look at what it's like to have an 8-year-old. I don't know what it's like to have an 8-year-old, I guess. But you can't also have a staff where you're like, okay, send the father of twins to review this movie about twins. They'll really be on top of it. It's only me. And so I try to guess what it's like to be another person. When I look at something now, I'm so detached from who I was when I was 25. I try to guess what that person thought and saw. And it's hard. I don't remember what it was like to be 25. I mean, I remember stuff I did. But if you said, are you really inside the head of a 25-year-old? No, nor can I ever be. And I certainly can't be in the head of a 25-year-old today who is leagues different from what I was. So when I see a movie about young people today, I would never think, well, this isn't authentic. It isn't speaking to me in a way I understand or connect with. I can say that. But I certainly can't say whether it's real or authentic. And I'm as divorced from my own 25-year-old self as I would be from a 25-year-old who was sitting in front of me right now. That Larry is very strange to me. I don't go back and read my old clips, partly because I would sit there going, what a pretentious, what a clever young fellow. I don't think that that's healthy, so I'm not even sure I know what the 25-year-old me was like. Maybe I don't want to know. He was more sarcastic. He thought the way to show the world that you were clever was to give people a smack in the butt before they gave you. And that's not healthy as a critic. That's the critic I started out as, eventually stopped being. By the way, the secret I was going to tell you is I've taken off my glasses. I hate glasses. I'm having cataract surgery this month. And I had to take my contacts out, which I've worn for 49 years. And I'm so sick of glasses, every time I can, I take them off. So I can't see if it's time for the bar to open or not. That was the secret. You all have to, you're in charge of yourselves as far as that goes. Someone else have a hand up? Because I had one other thought I was going to share after the questions. Go ahead. Lady in red. I can see that far.
Yes. We carried on quite a correspondence a few years ago. Have you changed your opinion about standing ovations?
That's not an opinion, that's a fact. And why does that always get a laugh when I say that? Standing ovations in Charlotte are a matter of ritual and politeness. I may have said this in our correspondence, I bet I did, because somebody next to me at the symphony years ago got up for a performance afterwards. It was fine, it's okay, perfectly good. Not amazing. A standing ovation should be, I'm hurtled out of my chair because this was amazing. I propelled myself up and I'm clapping. Whereas people in Charlotte get up like this. An actor friend of mine calls that a leaving ovation. They're ovating, but they're putting on their coat so they can go up the aisle. And I saw this, and I finally asked somebody at the symphony, this was about 5 years ago, that the performer, that pianist was good, it was a pianist. They weren't like great. And he said, their feelings are hurt if we don't stand up. And I thought, that's very Charlotte, yes. But if every performance is so great that you're on your feet at the end of it, doesn't that really mean that none of them are great? That there isn't much of a difference between great and good and didn't want to hurt your feelings? I stand willingly, or sometimes unwillingly if there's a real tall person, I want to see what's happening on the stage. I stand when somebody blows me away because I want to show that as a special thing. That is, normally I sit and clap, now I'm leaping. And I'll tell you, as a performer, I sing with Opera Carolina. I sing the chorus. In fact, in my book bags, I left it in the car, is the score of Carmen, because I have a music rehearsal tonight. And we know when we've done a good job. We know when we've done a mediocre job. We know when we've done, on rare occasions, a great job. And when we see people standing for a B-, none of us on the stage goes, I am so glad, I feel warm now that they stood up. That's meaningful. What we think is, can you all not tell the difference between okay and great? And every performer on stage knows how well they've done and knows whether or not they deserved a standing ovation that night. And if they get one, as they do at every performance, I can't remember the last time I didn't see a standing ovation. Then they become meaningless. It's like saying every piece of pizza in Charlotte is the best pizza you ever had. They're not, are they? No. And so when I see it, we did a really remarkable Turandot, and I thought, yeah, you get out of your seats. That's exactly right. Stand up. It's good. And we did an okay opera in the same season. I thought, just clap a little. Don't stand up. But of course, everybody did. We think that's good etiquette. It's not good etiquette. It's mealy-mouthing. And people in here are now going like, geez, I stand up all the time. It's because it doesn't mean anything if you do it all the time. I don't worry about people judging me, good heavens. I stopped worrying about that long ago.
Well, it's been wonderful being with you this afternoon. Thank you so much for spending time with us and for coming to listen to Larry and myself. It's been really great.
Thank you kindly.
This episode of The Charlotte Ledger was produced by Lindsay Banks. If you like this podcast, follow the show and tell your friends. And for more information about The Charlotte Ledger or to subscribe to one of our newsletters, visit thecharlotteledger.com.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.